Hello, lovely family and friends. A warm welcome back. I hope you're all doing well by God's grace. If you're new here, welcome. Okay, so today I'm still in the sweet mood. I tell you, I'm going to be making this Bofrot. Okay, this dry Bofrot, but Bofrot filled with chocolate. Okay, so specifically chocolate ganache, right? I'll show you how to make it, right? And alternatives if you can't get the ingredients to make the ganache. Okay, this is so good, so delicious. I took steps to make it extra yummy. So you are up for it? Then let's get into this video and I'll show you how. So for the ganache, I'm using some dark chocolate, okay? And I'm adding some honey. I'll add some double cream, which I have boiled, okay? And then a knob of butter, right? I'm going to put the measurement in the description box for you as always, okay? I'm going to stir it until it's nicely mixed. I'll let it sit and cool a little bit. And then I'm going to pour it into some ice cubes containers, right? But here, to make it easier for me, I'm pouring it into an icing bag, okay, so that it's easy for me. If you don't have an icing bag, then you can use regular freezer bag, okay? I'll show you in the next one, okay? So apart from this, I also added some nuts to half of the ganache, right? So I use just peanuts. So just think about eating Bofrot and peanuts, Bofrot and katia. Okay, I thought about that. I'm like, okay, let me add it to the chocolate so that it will be all incorporated in there, right? So yeah, right. So this is the plain chocolate, okay, and plain ganache. And here I'm smashing some peanuts, right, or groundnuts, and I'll add it to the chocolate, right? So for the chocolate, if you're in Ghana, you can use tetakwashi bar, which is dark chocolate as well. You can also use the King's Bite, which is milk chocolate, right? And or it would be nice if you're using orange flavor for your Bofrot, then you can use oranco. Is it oranco? Yeah, oranco. And then kwafu bar, which is lemon, if you're using lemon, right? So here, a freezer bag, a Ziploc bag, I just poured it in and I just cut one corner and I'm using it just to make the pouring easy, right? So you can use any freezer bag that you have available. You don't need an icing bag if you don't have one. Don't worry, okay? And I was thinking of, you can just use potom nuts too because it's already got the nut instead of doing this, adding the peanuts to it, right? So I froze it and here it's nicely frozen, right? So my concern was that if I put the chocolate in the dough and I fry it, it wouldn't melt because it's too hard, right? So I took it out of the freezer about 2 hours before I started, rolling the dough or forming the dough. Okay, so this is the nuts one, right? So yeah, I'm adding some yeast to some water and I've added some sugar. I'll stir it and I'll let it sit so that it proofs, okay, right? So whilst that is proofing, I have my flour, I've added sugar, and I've added baking powder and some salt, okay? We want this dough to be very light and fluffy. So some baking powder here, and I'm also going to add an egg. So 2 leavening agents, egg and baking powder, all right? So this is our yeast nicely bloomed or nicely proved, right? So yeah, I'm pouring that in the flour and I'm adding evaporated milk, okay? I'm not using milk powder today. And some vanilla extract, the egg I mentioned, and some butter, right? So we're going to mix everything together and then we'll need this dough. Today, I'm not using my machine, okay? So that you know that you can do it without the machine. But let me just say, right, that today will be the very last time I'm using my hand to make anything. So anytime I'm doing anything dough-like, what I will do is I will link this video so that you know how you can knead your dough. Okay, from today going, I'm going to use my machine. Made them in February. So I generously floured my work surface and I started kneading this. Okay, so I realized that the dough was very soft. If your dough is soft, just add some flour. Don't worry about it. Add some flour little by little and then knead. If it stops sticking to your palms, right, then your dough, the consistency is perfect, right? So you're going to be kneading this until it becomes very smooth, right? And the only way I kneaded it is I beat it on the work surface and then, yeah, like that. Beat it throughout. Just say, I didn't worry myself anyhow, just beating it for like 8 to 10 minutes until it became smooth, right? You see why I said I'm not going to use this method again, but use the machine. Machine will do everything for me easily, right? Okay. So yes, yeah, once it was nice and smooth, I just divided it into 2. So first of all, I measured it. I am very meticulous when it comes to this. I will measure it. So I measured it, then divided it into equal parts. Then I divided it by 20. I mean, like the whole thing by 20, right? So that I would know exactly. So it's amounted to somewhere between 72 to 73 grams, right? That's what I'm trying to say. I'm rolling 1/2 into a log and I'll keep measuring it, 72 or 73, 72 or 73. So in the end, I got 10 balls. Okay, not 10 balls, 20 balls. Right. So what I do is I flatten the dough and then I'll put 2 of the, well, depending on the size of your ice cube containers. Mine were small and I wanted the chocolate to be nice and gooey inside. So I'll take 2, I'll put it in the middle and seal it. So you make some sort of a parcel, right? And you seal it, right? So just as I'm doing, I'm flattening it. So what you have to bear in mind is that this thing, when you flatten it, one side or one portion can be light. So when you're flattening it in the middle, make sure you don't flatten it too much, right? So that when you put in your chocolate, it doesn't sort of break. Exactly what I'm trying to say. It doesn't break, okay? So here is the nuts one. I'm doing it for the last time for you to see. Just put it in the middle and then seal it, right? Making sure that it's not light. Right, you see here I was touching it because I realized that it was sort of at the point of breaking. But don't worry, the worst that can happen is when you're frying it, it will break and the chocolate will go into the oil, which happened to me. Never mind, right? So I'm going to let this proof for an hour. So what I'm doing is very cold, it's winter, there's no sun, there's nothing where I live. So I sprinkle some of the flour on it, right? And let it sit by the heater, okay? So what I want you to know is the flour that you put on is going to give you the leather feel that you need. You heard that, right? You see, so the flour, when you put the flour on it, let it sit by the heater and you get that leather feel, okay? So yeah, it doesn't normally rise, right, when I add eggs to it, okay? But then what I realized, once it goes into the oil, it rises, it inflates and becomes big, the sizes that I want. So I'm not bothered. I know it's still working, right? Even though you don't see, he's still working. That's how God is. You don't see it, but God is working for you. That's how the way this Bofrot is. You don't see it, but then it is working. It will inflate when you fry it. Anyway. Yeah, so yeah, you just put it in your oil and you fry it. I have donut recipe where I speak of how you can fry it, and everything. You can just check that one out as well. Okay, so at some point you see that this one is broken, the very one in front of us, the skin is broken or the outer is broken and some of the chocolate came out. It's fine, it doesn't matter. Just take it out and you eat it as normal. Okay, so that is our Bofrot done. Right, I hope you like this video. I hope you will make this and it is delicious, right? So this is the one with the nuts. The one with just the chocolate is what we opened at the beginning of the video. Okay, this is the one with the nuts. Okay, because it's got nuts, it's not as gooey. Okay, so thank you for joining me. I'm glad you came. I hope you give it a try, and don't forget to like this video, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.